Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another Misfits Racing League Grand Prix. It's round 14, Tier 1 action here for Season 2. It is the Azerbaijan Grand Prix here at the Baku City Circuit. And holy, did we have a show in Tier 2 earlier on. What a race it was. As we had a little bit of last moment drama at the checkered line. We had 4 physical safety cars. I couldn't believe it. Don't know what to think about that one, but hopefully here we have a little bit more action for you as we gear up to head into this Tier 1 race. 2 minutes and 20 seconds counting down now. We're going to jump on into look at this circuit. See there on screen now. What a cage this circuit is. I like to call it the cage. It's just, it's so tight with all the 90-degree turns, all the walls. Oh, what a circuit it is. It's something else. Nothing quite like the Baku circuit for sure. As you can see on screen there, the diagram of the circuit. Very, very nice. Now, let's take a look and see here the Misfits Racing League Season 2 calendar, and of course joining me in the commentary booth today, Mikal, all the way from sunny Australia, waking up early this morning. How you doing, Mikal? You there with us?
I am there with you, Strifium. I'm doing very well, thank you.
Sounds like it's an early morning over there in Australia for you, Mick. Glad to have you here.
Very early. It's quite chilly, but I'm here, ready for some action.
Excellent,
See what our drivers can give us this evening.
I was getting nervous there, my friend, getting nervous. But of course, we're here for Baku. It's round 14 of the Misfits Racing League, and it's been quite a ride. We've seen our drivers through Spa, in Belgium, of course, Hungary, Bahrain last week for some fantastic races. And then, this season, it really kicked off in Abu Dhabi for round 1, and we've gone from Abu Dhabi, Canada, France, Russia, all the way through Britain, Italy. It's been quite a season. Of course, we aren't following the traditional calendar. These races were, of course, voted on by our drivers because we didn't really have an idea of when the new game was coming out, so we didn't want to do a complete season. But of course, let's take a look at the teams. We got Zamajo and Rackety over at Ferrari. Zamajo leading the championship, but we'll get into that in a second. Skybits and Shenjay over at Haas, Falcon 9 and Lutra over at Renault. Fubar and Custom over at Mercedes. They've been having a very, very up and down season over there at Mercedes. Zamis and Undertaker at Alpha. Bois and Jasco over at Red Bull. Astrodite and Henry in Williams. Yoda and John at McLaren. BTFU and the newest addition to the full-time roster, Alex Biddo, making a full-time debut today for Toro Rosso. Bear Gaming and Tupaka, as per usual, over at the Racing Point team. Now, let's take a look at how the standings are shaping up this season. We have 3 rounds left, 4 if you include today's race. This is how things shaped up after Bahrain. Zamajo in the lead with 234 points. Yoda behind him, 143, and BTFU there in third with 102. And I do believe, Mikal, it is still possible for Zamajo to clinch the driver's title with this race, should he finish with a solid enough position. But there you can see all of the standings on screen for the drivers. Zamis, Shenjay, Falcon 9, Neon, Henry, and Wah with Rackety rounding off the top 10. But let's take a look at the constructors as we want to get into this racing action as quick as we can. Ferrari out in front, 288 points. A good chunk of those belong to, of course, the driver standing leader, Zamajo. His teammate Rackety doing a good job of supplementing some points on there as well. McLaren in second, Toro Rosso in third with 134 points. Williams in fourth, Haas rounding off the top 5. Red Bull in sixth, Alpha in seventh, Renault in 8th with Mercedes in 9th. Like I was saying before, Custom and Fubar having a bit of a shaky up and down season over there for the German car company. Racing Point in 10th. And I do believe we should be getting back into the race in just a few moments. But Mikal, expectations for today's race? Anyone in particular that you are going to be watching? Any particular areas of the circuit that we need to keep our eyes on? Of course, most of the viewers hopefully joined us for that Tier 2 race, and they have a little bit of an idea of what to expect here in Baku.
pretty keen to see how Alex goes. I mean, he had a very, very good debut when he reserved for Tier 1.
Yeah.
I believe he did finish on the podium.
Yeah,
Might
he
be
had a
wrong,
great starting.
but he was up there in that, fighting for those podium places. So I'm interested to see if he's able to continue that form into the streets of the Baku city circuit. In terms of the circuit itself, it needs no introduction. It's a very hard circuit to get the car around. You have the infamous castle section where I'm sure we're going to see a few front wings. It's inevitable. And you
Yeah.
also have the hard left-hander of turn 15, where you've seen loads of incidents in the real F1 motorsport, but I'm really keen to see all the overtaking down that main straight and cars hopefully, or maybe not hopefully, going 3 wide into turn 1.
No, I do believe we are getting ready to go here. I see drivers readying up. So hopefully we will be into the short qualification session in just a few moments. I see the session timer clocking down now.
Another thing to consider is how these drivers cope with it does happen to be raining, because rain isn't unheard of around Baku. And I'm sure, given the technical nature of the circuit, these drivers will be hoping and praying that it doesn't rain.
Oh, well, we
We'll find out
almost saw
closer
rain,
to
I
time.
swear, in Tier 2 earlier. The clouds were looking quite gloomy. That's for sure.
What about you, Striffim? How are you doing? How are you feeling about these drivers heading into the quality session now?
Well, it was quite something in Tier 2 earlier. I have a little bit of an expectation for Tier 1 now, seeing Tier 2 earlier. Quali went okay. We had one driver serve a qualifying ban. There wasn't too many incidents. Of course, a lot of drivers, though, having a little bit of difficulty keeping the car out of that turn 2 wall. That turn 2 wall, a lot of drivers, they come out of turn 1, they carry a lot of speed down into turn 2, that 90-degree left-hander. And unfortunately, they like to slide against that outside wall coming through the turn, and they were losing their front right end plates quite frequently. And a lot of these drivers, key thing is going to be, of course, making sure they stay out of the wall here in Baku. It can be so unforgiving. As we are now into this qualification session, you can see it is nice and shiny down in the pit lane. A lot of sun coming down in here. You can see the lens glare from our pit cam. And it's just, it looks like it's going to be a nice dry race. We'll have to get official confirmation from some of our drivers if they look at the weather forecast, of course. But yeah, hopefully it'll be a good one here for Tier 1, Macau.
Yeah, hopefully it's a good one. So yeah, you can get that there's no fusions and no rackety this evening.
So
So it looks like we're gonna have Stevo and Raggy Jr. filling in the seats at Racing Point and Ferrari, respectively.
So Monkey over in the Racing Point. Raggy Jr., I believe this is his second reserve performance here for MRL. It's great to have reserve drivers helping us fill that grid. Nice 20 driver grid. I said it in Tier 2 and I'll say it here. 20 drivers, ladies and gentlemen, are slated to begin this race. But, ladies and gentlemen, it's Baku. And that may not be the guaranteed amount of drivers to finish this race, or at the very least even finish qualification. Of course, Bois now, the first driver out of the pits, showing us the unbelievably difficult and unforgiving castle section as he comes up over the hill. Talk about Sector 2 right now, Mikkel, with Bois going through now into a turn that I know you're very familiar with.
This is the tight turn 15 I was talking about. Yeah, in that game, you're actually able to really hop that inside curbing, and you probably need to do so in order to gain, an easy 2 to 3 tenths. But it is very, very hard to pull off. And if you get it wrong, you're going straight for that outside wall. Or you're invalidating a lap. Either one. But anyway, down at the very, very long main straight, on board with Blah as he starts his lap into turn 1. Hard on the brakes, just put that 100-meter board on the right-hand side, third gear, using all the track available, trying to get his car over that outside curbing into turn 2. Now we go, second gear, get the rotation down, important to get a good exit for the second DRS zone as he makes it down into turn number 3. Hard on the brakes, looks like he had a little bit of a lock up there, but it doesn't look like it cost him too much. To turn 4, all of these corners in sector 1, completely 90-degree right and left-handers. In this sector 2, the first of these chicanes, he makes his way towards the infamous castle section. Second gear, trying to pick up the rotation now. Into the castle we go. Takes it nice and steady for his first run. He's trying to get the power down now at the top of the hill. These next 2 corners completely flat out until he heads for the heavy downhill braking zone. Turn 15 locks up the front left slightly, but he manages to hop that curve like I was saying before. So there's even a Ferrari in front of him. He might get a cheeky toe off Raggy Jr. Gets a really nice exit out of the final corner. It looks like he's in a prime position to get an amazing toe from the Ferrari in front.
Oh, oh man. Raggy Jr., if you're listening, my friend, you are giving Bois an immense amount of carry of speed down through here, and you can see it there, a 137.4 the first time set here in Baku, and there are going to be a few more drivers now, I believe. Custom coming down now on a flyer.
Samaj just had an incident at turn 15. He's now going backwards in sector 2. Hopefully he's able to get the car turned around for Zamis. Make his way through.
He's waiting for that Mercedes. Hopefully he doesn't take any kind of disqualification. He's going to struggle quite a bit with that front wing missing there to get that car turned around. We have 4 times set here in quali so far. Bois on provisional pole at the moment. Alex Bitto, who has taken that full-time seat over at Toro Rosso P3. As I say it, Shenjie crosses the line, a 138 flat. Geez, I almost said a 128 there. That would have been quite impressive. But 138 flat there from the Haas driver Zamis in the Alfa Romeo, a 137.9 the time from him on the soft compound tire. Zamajo in the Ferrari, our championship leader, ahead of this race. And for the majority of this season, I might add, down into the pits to get that wing changed over. Not going to be happy about not setting a lap here in the opening phase of this race. BTFU in the Toro Rosso crosses the line now, a 139.4 the time. He is currently in 8th. On the medium compound tire, what do you have to say about that time there, Mikhail? From both Luctra and BTFU going out on those mediums.
I mean, they're probably just trying to get a few laps in, trying to get a feel for the circuit. Baku's one of those circuits where you really need to be dialed in. Otherwise, you're just not going to get the timeout that you need. You're going to chip your front wing somewhere and you're just going to lose all of your downforce. And yeah, I think we see a couple of drivers now going out on the mediums as well. On Custom and Skybits.
We have Little Bear flying through into turn 3. Raggy Jr. doing a good job of getting out of the way off to the inside there. Little Bear has a little brush of the inside or the outside wall, heading down into that turn. And no damage for him in the racing point, fortunately, as he comes up through turn 4.
Makes his way into sector 2. On the brakes. With the racing point driver into the castle they go. Just sees trying to thread that needle through that very, very challenging section of corners. He makes it out in one piece. Makes it all the way to 8th gear. Turn 15. Opts not to hop the curb like some of the other drivers, but he keeps it nice and stable. It's important to get a really good exit off the turn 16. get this nice run all the way down the main straight, opening up that DRS. See what top speed he's able to reach before the line. Looks like it'll be 338. And he puts in a 138.86, so that's good enough for P6 at the moment for the racing point.
Jumping on board with Astrolite now in the Williams as he makes his way through into Sector 2. Coming up to the castle section now on a flyer. Another driver here who has yet to set a time with immense speed, as well as Henry, who will be following him not too far behind. He'll be entering castle section shortly. So we'll switch on over to Henry once we see how Astrolite fares off here. Coming down out of turn 15 now, Mikau.
Yeah, just trying to get a nice exit off this last corner. This last corner is so important because you're carrying that speed all the way down this long straight. So if you make like one slip up, you know, like lock the front wheel, or even particularly getting some wheel spin off that final corner, you're going to be carrying that speed, or not carrying that speed, I should be saying, down this whole main straight towards the line. But Astrolite, coming across the line with the 138.4, good enough for P7 at the moment.
His teammate in the other Williams now, Henry, coming down the long straight. DRS wide open for him now.
See, he's used up all of the available deployment, and he comes across the line and basically matches his teammate. 138.49, the other Williams. So Williams will lock out the fourth row as it stands.
From 10th to the lead at the moment, 1.5 seconds is the gap. And as we have 8 minutes remaining here in qualifying, we'll see that, of course, shrink, as everybody has pretty well set a first time on the soft compound tires. Couple drivers there you can see now. We'll look at the best time set on which tires. Luktra, BTF setting their times on mediums, as well as Skybits and Custom. All other drivers on the grid opting to set times. Falcon is into the wall in Castle. You can see now Henry coming up behind him, slowing down. Very good from him. Of course, very, very important to keep in mind those yellow flags, as Falcon terminal damage, it would seem, in that car of some kind. Not too sure what happened. We did see him retire from the session as the car slowly moved itself up through that castle section. Now Alex Bitto on a out lap. Fortunately wasn't impeded. I don't think anybody may have been impeded by Falcon as a result, which is always good to see.
So Marjo coming across the line doing a 137.43 to take provisional pole.
And you can see now that the gap between him and Bois is only 0.040, so 4/100th of a second separating the front row drivers at the moment.
I'm sure all these drivers had a little bit more in the tank. It's now just over 7 minutes left. So we might be seeing 2 more runs. These guys are quick. You have to set the tires. There's a yellow flag in sector 2. So like it's a Ferrari letting a racing point by at the castle.
Jean on a flyer now in the McLaren, coming through turn 15, trying to look for somebody who is absolutely showing dominant speed here and not on an in-lap or out-lap, of course. So Jean, the driver to watch for the moment. Zamis, sets pole position provisionally, a 137.3 from the Alfa Romeo, Mikau.
That is a very, very quick time from the Alfa Romeo driver. Good job on him. Looking at Jean now as he comes across the line. He was 7/10 up at the sector 2-3 split. And he improves all the way up to 9th place.
An overall 6/10 improvement for the McLaren. Quite nice indeed. Up into the top 10 on those soft compound tires.
See a Red Bull and a Ferrari very close together again.
Take a minute to acknowledge Luktra, who made his way up into 6th position, setting a provisional 5-6, excuse me. Like I said, provisional. He's been pushed back into 7th behind his teammate Falcon for the Renault squad, as I want to say that's Alex Bitto moving up into a better time now. Somebody pushed him back there. I didn't quite catch who it was.
Yeah, that would probably be Alex. He just came across the line and did a 37.8, seems. Just over 5 minutes left in this qualifying session.
Little
Only
Bear.
2 drivers out of the session now, which is very impressive for a track, especially as difficult as Baku. Nevertheless, we press on. There's yellow flags in sector 2. Looks like that's being cleared up now. These drivers make their way back to the pits.
Little Bear now flying through sector 3. Looks like he may get a tow from the driver ahead of him, and that's either going to be BTFE or Alex Bitto. I'm not 100% sure at the moment.
BTFE is going to start his lap.
Little Bear improves, but not enough to really move up a position. He improved by 0.2 on that one. We'll jump on board with BT as he has just begun a flyer.
DRS wide open as he makes his way towards turn number 3. Hard on the brake. You just hear the utilization of engine braking into those heavy braking zones. He's 7/10 up, it seems, out of sector 1. Because BCFU did set his time on the mediums, so the softs are going to provide a lot more grip for our Toro Rosso driver as he makes his way through the castle section. Priority makes his way down into the end of sector 2. Not opting to hop the curb like we've seen some other drivers do, but he's 1.4 seconds up coming out of the last corner. It looks like he got a pretty good exit on there. No car in front of him, like we've seen some other drivers have the privilege of. But nevertheless, DRS open. He makes his way towards the timing line, and he will join his teammate on the 3rd row. That's a 1:37.8.
Beautiful time from him. Very nice lap, very clean through turn 15.
So hopefully we'll be seeing some more action out on track shortly. Just under 2.5 minutes left.
Henry back on board with the Williams as he's making his way down the long straight now on a flyer. About to pop open that rear wing.
And once you come out of that last corner and keep the line straight, it's all about how much speed you can carry.
And he jumps into 7th.
Yes, he jumps up above both of the Renaults into 7th position at the moment. Samus as well, about to start a hot lap as well. Currently provisional pole with a 1:37.3.
Jasko crosses the line, stays P15, but does improve by 0.3 on that lap.
Solidifying that P15 position. A lot of drivers on their final runs as we speak, as looks like Yoda has had a bit of an issue at the castle. Able to get that car moving again. I believe Henry...
There's a big pileup of cars in that Sector 2 zone here. We got Zamis coming down through now. on a flyer, our current pole sitter. Ooh, and he brushes the inside wall there on entry. You can see he's lost a big chunk of that front right wing. It was quite the bump from him. He's going to continue on, though, as qualifying is almost done, and we have a retirement, and that's Fubar. And now we have a retirement from Zamis on circuit.
Yes, obviously not too happy with damaging his front wing there. Press on. So he
Jean,
will stay with his 137.3. Jean, like he is on his flying lap as well, heading into turn number 3 as we speak.
we have Astrodate coming down the long straight here, currently running in 12th position, and he is going to opt to jump into the pits. Let's see who else could be on a flying lap about to cross the line. I see there's a Red Bull coming down the way there. That's Bois. As the session has finished, he's going to opt to jump into the pits as well. Zamajo coming up through Sector 2 now. We're going to jump back on over to Jean, though, who is ahead of him down into turn 15.
Zero leaves the session, so hopefully he's able to get back in time before the race. Lutra retires down that escape road at turn number 5. We'll have Yoda. Sorry, Jean coming across the line. See if he's able to improve. He improves by 8/10 all the way to 5th place. Wow. Amazing improvement from the McLaren driver. And Zamajo retakes his pole position. The 137.15. His teammate now improves, I think, to 16th. And Alex Beto will join Zamajo on the front row with a 137.33. These times up the top are very, very tight, Striff.
Oh, they're quite intense. We're going to take a look now. As you can see there, those are the times from leader all the way down the grid. And it's less than a second between P10 and pole position at the moment is the gap, which for online racing is quite a tight grid for sure. You can see at the front end, it's even tighter, less than 2/10 between Alex and Zamajo. Zamis right there behind him in third, and we have a fantastic lineup ahead of this race, I do believe. I don't think anybody took any grid penalties or penalties of any kind that will affect their starting position here, as we're just waiting for all of these cars to get fitted back into their respective garages, as we now have this session that has come to an end. Take a look at how the grid is shaping up ahead of this race.
We have Zamajo taking his pole position with a 137.15. So that's a very, very quick time. Of course, no stranger to Zamajo. Very, very quick driver. And he can probably clinch the well, he can clinch the title if he does well in this week's event. And as we press on, Alex Beto joining him on the front row, only 1.8 tenths behind him. The second row will be Zamis and Bois. And then we have Lutra, Jean, and Chenje. Didn't quite catch the rest of that as the drivers made their way into the race. And I do believe it's going to be a dry race as well, Striff.
Well, dry race means that these drivers have no excuses in through the first few laps here. Things are going to be quite tight. As we saw the grid, everybody has fantastic speed here in Baku. Obviously, to anyone who may be listening to the radio cast in the cockpit of their Formula One car, take it very easy through these first few sections of the circuit. Of course, we did see a fantastic start in Tier 2 through the first 4 or 5 turns. Unfortunately, there was one driver who got into an incident. I believe it was JM2, and it did spark a safety car. But yeah, it's going to be a dry race here in Baku. Of course, that race Tier 2 yielded 4 physical safety cars. And yes, you heard me correctly, 4 physical safety cars and 1 VSC, which is something that I have never experienced in my time commentating or racing in leagues, was that 4th physical safety car. As perhaps Codemasters decided to put in a little extra one for Baku racing. I don't know, Mick, but off onto the formation lap now. We have Zamajo, Alex Biddo, Zamis, Bois, Luktra, Jean, Shenjay, BTFU, Henry, and Falcon rounding off the top 10. With the back 10 starting things off with Yoda, Astrodite, Little Bear, Fubar, Jasco, Raggy Jr., Custom, Undertaker, Skybits, and Monkey S at the back of the grid.
Let's look at these tire options for those starting outside the top 10. It's like all of them are opted to go on the medium tires, except for Undertaker and Yoda. That Alpha America are down in 18th on that red striped soft compound, hoping to get a jump on his fellow competitors surrounding him. And Yoda in P11 opting for the hards, which is a very interesting strategy call. So he's obviously looking to go long, stay out of trouble, and be fast towards the end of the race. I'm not sure I totally agree with his strategy choice, but we'll see how it plays out for him in about 5 minutes time, I guess.
Yoda could be big braining this race in anticipation of a multitude of VSCs and safety cars, in which case, should he run a one-stopper off the hards onto softs, it could be, it could play into to being a good strategy, Mikhail. But
Well,
of course, time will tell.
He's definitely going for the gamble. I mean, he's committed to it now. He's almost completed the formation lap. Just looking at the front of the grid now, looks like driver's just trying to warm up the tires. Sure, they're within that narrow operating window. They're going to be one of those carcass temperatures, that's the temperature inside the tires, to be around the low to mid 90-degree mark, to make sure they have that the maximum amount of grip they possibly can off the start. As the AI takes control of the front of the field, cars are starting to line up into their grid slots once again, and oh boy, turn 1 is going to be interesting.
I don't think that could be stated enough, Mikhail. I don't think it could be stated enough. Turn 1 here can be quite interesting, to say the least. We are about to get underway here as the final vehicle approaches the grid. We are going to have lights on now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights on here in Baku. And the lights are out. Away we go. It's the Ferrari of Zamajo leading this race off the line.
These drivers trying to navigate turn 1 as best they can. Looks like Zamajo's gotten a pretty decent start. I'm not seeing any front wings through turn 1, which is a very surprising sight to see. But looks like they're making their way through turn 2, and there's a huge collision between the two racing points, it seems. Both racing points into the wall, and we have a safety car after 2 corners.
You hate to see it. No terminal damage, just a couple brushes with the wall there, and unfortunately the game decides that it needs to get that debris off circuit, and we have a safety car deployment pretty well instantaneously here at the start of this Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Of course, personally, I don't think that what happened there in turn 2 was that warranting for a safety car. Don't know about you, Mick, but it is going to slow down the start of this race and delay green flag racing for at least a few laps now. And we'll have to see what some of these drivers do as far as pit stops concerned. Of course, some of them are going to be missing some end plates, minor front wing damage, which can play a role here in Baku. Of course, you want to have as much of that wing intact as you can, but it's just as likely that you could lose it coming out of the pits into turn 2 that some of these drivers struggled with in Tier 2 earlier today. Of course, guys, if you are just tuning in, we are here safety car running, yellow flag conditions here on lap 1 of season 2. It's the Misfits Racing League, round 14, Azerbaijan Grand Prix. My name is Strifium, and joining me is Mikal. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure you smash that follow button, as we are live every Thursday for some epic racing action here on Twitch. As Amajo approaches the line now, that safety car pulled off outside turn 2.
I'm sure Zamajo. I'm sure that all of these drivers, or some of these drivers at least, will be happy that there's a safety car on the first lap, just to sort of hold their position as there's a hive of activity in the pit lane. Steve-O getting a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. But there's quite a few front wing changes. Drivers putting on the hard compound tires. Steve-O opting for those softs. And that hard strategy for Yoda has jumped him into 6th place right now.
If you're Yoda and you're driving that McLaren, you must have an absolutely massive grin in the cockpit of that car, because this is played literally right into his hands. He can go on those tires for quite a good chunk of time without losing too much pace. Of course, the drivers behind him on those mediums and softs will have a slight increase in pace over the McLaren driver, but you know, we got Zamajo leading this race very fast in that Ferrari. Alex Bitto, who has shown absolutely dominating pace as well. Zamis, who's no slouch in the Alpha. You know, all of these drivers on those softs, they will have to pit off of them much earlier than Yoda. But, you know, it can be just as difficult for Yoda to try and make up time on those drivers, regardless of tire degradation. Everybody in this division is extremely rapid. Of course, all these drivers coming up very tight through this safety car, and you know, keep in mind, keep some space between yourself and the driver ahead. Of course, you know, focus on that driver ahead of you, as the driver behind you will do the same. Stay out of those, you know, keep the track limits proper. Don't take any unnecessary penalties. Don't speed into the pit lane. As you can see, Monkey taking a 5-second penalty for exceeding track limits. The stewards extremely strict during safety car conditions on things like that.
Yes, indeed. It's quite unfortunate. Nevertheless, drivers have survived the first couple laps, albeit under safety car. Now, you really don't want to be losing your wing after you've survived the first, you know, couple turns of green running. You make it through turn 1. You make it through turn 1 and turn 2, and then you know, just hit the back of the driver in front, much like Sebastian Vettel and Lewis Hamilton a few years ago, and then you lose your wing that way.
Yeah, it's something that you'd never like to see, of course. Those tiny mistakes costing you so much as far as time and positions in a race, and Baku is definitely one of those circuits where your race can change inside of a second. A split-second mistake can cost you 9-10 positions easily. Overtaking here isn't as easy. I was explaining in Tier 2 earlier today. You know, some of the ideal overtaking zones are, you know, from turn 1 to turn 2, you have a little bit of an opportunity there, but a lot of Sector 1 overtakes are down into that turn 3 and, well, down into turn 1, really. Turn 1, turn 3, very high volume overtaking areas. And then other than that, really, the most overtaking you'll see is probably on the straight in Sector 3 before you cross that start-finish line. And there, you know, you can't go too wide up Castle. I've seen it tried before, and I mean, one can only imagine how that went, but not too many not too many clear-cut opportunities for overtaking. That's what I'll say, Mikhail. But of course, some of these drivers can be very inventive, and we have the safety car coming in here at the end of lap 3.
Yeah, so we'll be green flag running for lap 4 of this race. The safety car makes its way towards the pit lane. Samaja will be pacing the field in Sector 3, and it's important to make sure that you don't hit the back of the car when the safety car is coming in, because the drivers need to slow down to allow that safety car to make its way back into its box. In the pit lane, it looks like Samajo has his foot flat to the ground, as we're going to be starting the race again very, very shortly as it comes across the line. Looks like Alex Bitter trying to get a bit of a toe off that. They're going to be going too wide. Alex trying to go around the outside of the Ferrari into turn 1. And it looks like he's gotten his nose ahead for now, but they're still side by side as they make their way through to turn 2. And Alex looks like he's gotten that move done. So now that is the Toro Rosso up into first place. Zamas following close behind. There's another Sector 1 yellow flag. And I do believe there's been an incident with Skybits at turn 2.
And Mikhail, the train has begun here after this restart. Alex Biddle with a fantastic maneuver over the Ferrari of Zamajo through turns 1 and 2 there. Zamis had a beautiful front row seat to that action. Unfortunately, he was too busy following them to have any popcorn, but we have Falcon very close to the rear of him moving through into Sector 2 now, and BTFU is watching all of this unfold. Yoda on the hards is now going to be defending from Fubar, as Fubar is on those 3-lap-old medium compound tires.
Watching the back of the grid as they all make their way through the castle section. First time in a green flag running. Skybits did in fact lose his entire front wing at turn 2 in that incident that caused the yellow flag. So he'll probably have to come in and change that. Meanwhile, over the front runs, and there's a virtual safety car. But Lutra looks like he's had a bit of a collision at turn number 15, it seems. Losing a majority of that wing. And Bois receiving a drive-through penalty for speeding under the virtual safety car. Ouch.
That is a rough one to take for sure. Yoda is now up into 5th position, ladies and gentlemen, on the 4-lap-old hards. As the VSC has been deployed, we're back to green flag racing. It has gone offline, now making our way through turn 2. Alex Bido currently leading this race for the Toro Rosso squad. His teammate not too far behind him. It is currently a Honda sandwich for those 2 Ferrari-powered drivers, Zamajo and Zamis, in the Alpha and Ferrari. Yoda not too far behind on those hards in the McLaren either.
Yeah, 2 Toro Rossos in very, very solid position at the moment. Trying to get a good haul of points to aid their constructors' campaign. So they make their way towards the castle section once more.
Jasko looking down the inside of Astrodite, down into castle section as he makes his way across the Sector 2 split. He has the inside line. Astrodite goes a little deep and wide there through the turn. He has to concede it. Jasko with a very solid move, overtaking his way into 9th position there. As we make our way back to the front of the grid now, Zamajo sticking with Alex Bido quite well in the Ferrari as we make our way through into Sector 3, that long stretch of circuit where the momentum can be so strong when you stay in the slipstream of the car ahead. Alex Bido is now under threat from the Croatian Ferrari driver.
There's no DRS yet, so this is going to be all the toe, and look how much more speed the Ferrari is gaining on the Toro Rosso. He's nose slightly ahead going into turn 1, but Alex fights it back, keeping that inside line, trying to push Samaja a little bit wide. Samaja will make that move around the outside work for him. DRS has now been enabled, so Alex will have DRS heading down towards turn 3.
Ragged Jr. into the pits there. We see a multitude of positions being swapped as he drops back. BTFU and Zamis are about to do some battle here, as Zamis is under serious threat from the Toro Rosso, trying to catch up with his teammate. Would be fantastic to see that 2-3 running for those guys, but Zamis doing a good job of defending here. Shenjay is starting to gain some time on the rear of that McLaren Yoda, as he's less than half a second away. We'll see if he's able to make anything happen here on lap 6. Quite a few different position swaps here at the back of the grid. It's Fubar wheel to wheel with Undertaker right now. He's on the inside line of turn 4. Undertaker in 14th position at the moment. Very close racing here between the Mercedes and Alpha.
It looks like the Alpha will stay ahead for now. Smaj has already pulled 1 second on Alex. There's a whole heap of time.
Shenjay getting quite close to the rear of Yoda now in that fight for P5. Yoda on the slower compound tire for the moment. Could be under serious threat here coming out into the DRS straight. As I do believe DRS will be enabled here on this lap.
Yeah, DRS has already been enabled, so Chenja's going to have that rear wing open. And look at the speed difference between these two. Chenja making easy work as both Samus and BTFU heading into the pits. Jasko setting the new fastest up the race to 142.1. Now up into 6th place. He's trying to make a move on Henry. Down the inside at turn 2. Henry leaves the room. But Jasko not quite able to get in front just yet. But he'll have that DRS assistance heading down to turn 3. Gets behind that Williams. Getting the toe. His nose is ahead. And he will make the pass on the Williams. So that's the Red Bull now. Up to 5th place. And as I say, spun.
Oh my dear. That Red Bull. Not too sure what happened there with Jasko. Henry gonna have a little bit of damage. No, he got away unscathed. Very fortunate for the Williams driver. Monkey gets out into 6th now. Jasko has unfortunately dropped to 7th, and you can see that front wing is absolutely destroyed on that Red Bull. Very unfortunate for him, as gaps are beginning to form throughout this race here on lap 7. Custom gaining on Little Bear up through Castle section now in the Mercedes. Custom with an absolutely masterful and eventful drive yesterday in Suzuka, looking to bounce back. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to get a podium, and Jasko has just smashed into the wall. He's almost pulled a Grosjean there. He just wasn't warming up his tires this time, and we have a yellow flag there in Sector 2. You can see, you saw that Red Bull as Custom drove by him. Custom now into 8th position, as Jasko has retired the car, and we have no deployment for a safety car, which I have to say I'm thankful for. It promotes some pretty quick racing. Zamajo and Alex Bitto now into the pits. Shenjay is now your race leader with Yoda behind him by just shy of 2 seconds. Henry in 3rd, Monkey in 4th, and Zamajo is looking to come out here in 5th. Is Little Bear going to get him? No, he will not. So Zamajo has exited in 5th. Custom is in 7th, and Alex Bitto has come out of the pits with a little bit of traffic to catch up behind the rear of that Ferrari. And of course, we saw Zamis and BTFU pit earlier on. BTFU came out behind Aphrodite there, and Falcon was about to make a move around the outside of Alex Bitto. Alex Bitto does a good job of closing that door. You can see Falcon looking for any kind of gap to exploit here on this Toro Rosso driver. Of course, Falcon on the 3-lap-old mediums.
Yeah, seems to be locking up a lot, trying to get past that Toro Rosso. As Alex tries to get those tires up to temperature. Custom going very slow as he approaches the castle section. And Raggy Jr. is out of the race. Looks like he might have retired in the pit lane. Hopefully that doesn't cause any safety car or virtual safety cars. So that's 2 drivers now out of this race in the middle of a lap 8.
Falcon sticking with, I believe that's Custom, losing a front right end plate there as he went through turn 15, brushing that wall on the outside. Very unfortunate. We have a safety car deployment, and I'm not too sure what sparked it, as it may have been the retirement of Raggy Jr. in the pits, where it very well could have been Custom brushing that wall out of T15.
I think it's Monkey S, actually. He's now coming around the track with a whole bunch of front wing, as Custom will pick up a 5-second penalty for ignoring yellow flags as he comes into the pits. That is definitely not going to help him, of course.
Let's stick with him. And he is going to serve that immediately. He is going to serve that 5 seconds immediately. So that is quite beneficial to the Mercedes driver. Henry now leading this race.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a Williams leading from a Ferrari. What year is this? But under the safety car condition.
Mansell, is that you? Like to see it, of course.
Yeah, of course, real life Williams having a run of poor form the past couple of years, but that's not quite the same case in the game. Of course, all these cars equally spec'd. It's just the liveries and the models that look different, but they all handle the same. So it's an even playing field for all these drivers. Looks like you see the top 9 now behind the safety car queue. Little Bear and John catching the back of it now. So these drivers use this opportunity to compose themselves after a few laps of green running. And make sure those tires are up to temperature before the race start in a couple laps time.
Well, we've had quite an eventful race so far here in Baku. We're here on lap 9. We've already seen quite a handful of very neat and tidy overtakes here. And it's definitely been, I don't want to say a much more eventful race than Tier 2, but we can definitely see that some of these drivers may be a little bit more patient with some of their maneuvers and their moves. Yoda has pitted onto medium tires now, so he's going for a hard medium one stop. He's using that safety car to his advantage. I highly doubt we'll see another pit stop from him. But it could be, you know, he could gauge the field if there's another safety car, and there is a slight chance I could see that McLaren pitting one more time, perhaps onto softs, depending on when that safety car may or may not be deployed. But of course, right now we have you know, safety car running, and I just want to take this time to remind everybody: take it easy when the safety car comes in. Careful at the restart. Of course, watch yourself when following the car ahead. Keep a safe distance.
Yeah, it is the risk you pose sometimes under the safety car. Safety car going very, very slowly. You're not getting the proper heat into the tires that you need. There's also a long sector 3, so you have to wait all the way until the safety car makes it into the pit lane on the restart. Otherwise, the game will cut your throttle like instantly.
Codemasters, can you give me an onboard of the safety car, except instead of it being front facing, have it be a rear view camera? Because it would be very nice to get a nice close up of the rear of these cars, or the front of these cars following that safety car. I mean, just from a fan perspective, if you could do that for me, that'd be great. Thanks. But yeah, back to business here. The Williams in the lead of this race. I mean, that in itself is a highlight here, albeit under safety car conditions. You can see there, fully intact front wing, 8-lap-old hards, and if you're Henry in that Williams, do you think it's possible to stretch those to the end of this race, Mikhail?
Oh, that's quite the ask. Not entirely sure if it's possible, but that is really like a huge ask. To go 24 laps on a set of hard compound tires around the streets of Baku. Tires will be screaming towards the end of the race. But we'll see what he's able to pull off. As it's called from race control, the safety car is coming in this lap. So we'll be back to a green flag running soon. Undertaker has a severe collision with Frubar, getting him a 5-second time penalty.
Take a look at the front wing of Undertaker there. You can see he's missing his front right end plate. Very unfortunate for the Alpha driver. Looks like he may have just tapped the rear of the Mercedes Fubar. Like we saw, race control informed us it was between him, Fubar and Custom running 14th and 15th for Mercedes. Very unfortunate to see the Mercedes there. I mean, Custom and Fubar, they've shown fantastic speed here throughout this race, and we're back to full throttle, full pin, down into turn 1. That's Zamajo and Alex Bitto. Alex Bitto very late on the brakes. Is he able to get that move done on Zamajo? I don't know. Let's take a look at the exit. They're wheel to wheel coming down into turn 2. They're following behind the rear of that Williams. Very clean through turn 2 now for both of them. Zamajo out in front, gaining on the Williams now.
Here and Astride have come together at turn 2 off the safety car restart, so both of them are falling a bit down the border. That's Bois going side by side.
Falcon, excuse me, Mikhail, Falcon with an absolute dive down into turn 3 there, gets the move done on Alex Bido, comes through turn 4, bit of a slip of the rear there. Now it's Bido on the inside of Falcon. They're wheel to wheel coming through into turn 5. Excuse me, turn 6.
Looks like Falcon's had a bit of a mistake there.
Zamis
up possibly going into turns number 7, I do believe. Into the castle they go. You see, struggling to get any sort of control out of that Renault. Slipping and sliding all over the place.
Meanwhile, Zamajo is very close to the rear of Henry now, moving through sector 2. Down into turn 15 we go. Zamajo is absolutely gaining. I also saw some end plate coming up through Castle section. They're not too sure who it was. It may have been Henry. It was Henry. So Henry now leading this race with no front right end plate on that car. Zamajo is most definitely picked up on that, and he is going to have a great carry of speed down through now in the battle for this race leadership position. What is Henry going to do? Do you see him pitting here? Well, he doesn't have an option now as Zamajo's on his inside. That's Alex Bido behind them. Where is he going to go? Is he going far inside? He thinks better of it. Very good driving there. Fantastic patience. That's still Henry, though, on the outside of Alex. Oh, no, there's contact. That's Zamajo and Henry. It looks like Alex may have actually lost a little bit of that front right end plate, and he did. So there's contact, but that's Alex out in front now. Zamajo in P2. Henry's dropped back now into P3, and that is extremely unfortunate. And like I said, a lot of drivers struggling throughout the past couple of races in that turn 2. They're brushing that outside wall. They're losing a little bit of that front wing, and those are those little mistakes that can cost you major here in Baku. And Zamis now is, if I'm not mistaken, fully intact on his front wing on the hard compound tires. And excuse me, now he's missing a front right end plate, and it looks like he may have gotten caught up in that as well. So Shenjie, out of the top 5 drivers, the only one with a fully intact front wing, which can pay off huge for this Haas driver.
Zamajo seems to have both of his end plates still, and he's rapidly gaining on the back of that Toro Rosso. Alex going a bit defensive. Into turn number 15, hops that curb.
Oh my, excuse me, Zamajo with both of his end plates. Wow. Lucky.
He must have just hit the side of that outside wall at turn 2 with his tire face, so front wing remaining intact for now. But look at this toe, the slipstream that the Ferrari is getting off the Toro Rosso. They're side by side heading into turn 1. Oh, they're very close. DRS gets enabled now. Fubar getting underway in the castle section. Henry finally into the pits, so he's going to get a change of that front wing. And there's 2 battles going on, one for first and one for third.
Alex Bido with a very nice move around the outside there. We saw Zamajo have a little bit of a brush with the inside wall there, and then a top of oversteer coming out of the turn. He got things back under control. Alex Bido is now leading this race. Zamis has lost out to Shenjie. Like you mentioned, there's some fantastic battling going on now, and there's an overtake. It's Bois and Falcon, wheel to wheel now, up through into turn 4. Falcon out in front of Bois, but it's going to be Bois on the exit. He has an absolute launch here, coming down into turn 5. Out of that turn 4 exit, what a carry of speed is that in that Red Bull.
Whenever we seem to be looking at Falcon, it just seems to lock up. It locks up again.
He's missing a front right end plate as well on that Renault, which is only going to affect him.
Even more, it looks like Little Bear has had an incident there. Fubar retires from the session. So
in the pit lane.
That damage has been too much, and the Mercedes guys have called to retire the car. Very Hamilton-esque. But looking at this battle for 5th place at the moment, Striff.
Oh, it's an absolute train.
Really holding them up. After that slight mistake in the castle section, was going to be all over the rear of that racing point.
I can't even decide which car I want to look at here.
Yeah, but and now at the front, Zamajo and Alex going wheel to wheel. Zamajo with that DRS. Alex pretty much all out of battery, trying to pull away. We'll let the Ferrari go. He scrapes the inside wall. If he doesn't get any damage, I don't see anything on that left-hand side. We're still missing that right side end plate from that collision earlier with Henry.
Now Henry, as we saw, he opted to pit there. He's now onto the medium compound tires, looking to go for the last 13 laps here on those tires. He's now overtaken BTFU, as BTFU has opted to jump onto fresh mediums as well. And this race has been quite exciting so far. Little Bear losing out to Bois down the main straight there. Custom is into 8th for Mercedes, and he is gaining on Falcon. Falcon with damage, and I do believe Custom is fully intact on both of his end plates at the very least.
Falcon locking up again as he makes his way into turn 7. The castle section.
Shenjie doing a good job of sticking in those podium positions here in 3rd at the moment on the hard tires.
Yeah, Shenjie will have DRS. He's only 7/10 behind the Toro Rosso.
Now we're looking at John here. Excuse me. He's very tight to the rear of Undertaker, and Undertaker's gaining on Yoda as well. Moving up through Castle section here. A lot of little battles forming here on circuit. Lutra currently less than a second behind BTFU as well on the 2-lap older mediums. And there is an overtake.
It's Shenjie getting past Toro Rosso of Alex. And Bois going side by side with Zamas into turn 1. It'll make that move stick. So that's the Haas up to 2nd and the Red Bull up to 4th.
Very nice job from all of these drivers, keeping things very clean here so far. Just can't keep it out of, you know, the circuit is beating them up more than they're beating themselves up amongst each other. So I suppose that is a good sign. We want to make sure that the drivers are keeping the cars out of one another, and if they're going to hit something, it might as well be the circuit instead of somebody else. So those end plates, though, definitely going to be costing them some performance here, as Jean has taken Undertaker now in an attempt to try and catch up to his teammate Yoda. Both McLarens currently running 13th and 14th respectively. A lot of these drivers more than likely still going to have to pit in the top 10. Bois on the 10-lap old mediums most definitely going to start struggling within the next 5 or 6 laps.
Yeah, it's at that point where you really start to tiptoe your way around that very technical sector 2. As there's an M plate at turn 15. I do believe that's one of the racing points. It's yes. Missing that right-hand side end plate, so he joins the club. That is ever expanding.
And the call to pit for the Red Bull has come, and Alex Bitto has decided to jump into the pits as well to jump off those hards and perhaps replace that wing. So the Toro Rosso and Red Bull drivers into the pits now. You can see there Bois jumping onto the medium compound tires and a used set of medium compound tires. You can see there he's already got 3 laps scored on those. And Alex Bitto jumping onto fresh mediums as well with a fresh wing on the Toro Rosso. And you can see there Henry is now out in front of him into 9th position on the 3-lap old mediums. Henry was at one point leading this race for the Williams squad.
So just looking at the championship standings, things remain as they are. I do believe Zamajo will be our World Drivers Champion for the Misfits Racing League Season 2. Just needs to keep that good haul of points for winning the race, and they'll be all said and done. His closest rival Yoda all the way down to 13th.
Of course, 3 rounds left after Baku. For everyone who's tuning in, we have 3 more races to go. We are going to be seeing our drivers take on the wonderful Albert Park circuit for the Australian Grand Prix for round 15 next week.
Oh, there's a massive pile-up. Sorry, there's a massive pile-up at turn 15.
Ooh.
And the 2 racing points. Virtual safety car has been deployed, and Little Bear just blocking 2/3 of the road at turn 15. All the drivers trying to navigate around the racing point. And Steve-O will pick up a 5 seconds for colliding with his teammate. Very, very unfortunate.
You
for
know,
Little Bear.
it's very interesting. I just want to say that, you know, we had a full safety car there in turn 2 at the beginning of this race. Zamis and Custom into the pits now, fresh tires, fresh wings, and they brushed the wall outside of turn 2, and there was a full safety car deployed. Now you have that absolute wreck out of turn 15, and they go, oh yeah, you know, VSC, no big deal. Aphrodite looks like he went a little deep down into turn 1 there. Falcon is going to come out in front of him now, but both Williams are into the top 10 points, which is very nice to see. But Yoda is going to have DRS on Aphrodite down into turn 3. Don't know if he's going to be close enough to make a move here as he jumps on the brakes. Not going to make anything happen just yet. Monkey and Undertaker both into the pits now. 20 drivers started this race. Mikau, 16 remaining in the battle for Baku.
Yep, with 10 laps to go. There's a massive gap between our top 2 and the rest of the field. Skybet's doing very well for himself, currently sitting in 3rd place for the Haas team. Don't know how that slipped by us, but yep, that's Skybet's up in 3rd, supporting his teammate, who's currently trying to chase down Samajo for the lead of this race.
I have to say, just from a history of watching Skybits in various leagues, of course racing with him as a teammate over the past few months, he has to be one of the luckiest drivers, given some of his track positions and where he falls in some of these races. You know, one minute you'll be looking at the timing tower, he'll be down in 14th, and then a few laps will go by and suddenly he's in the top 5. And, you know, you love to see things like that. Now, Alex Bitto, you see a little bit of a swerve from Henry there. Henry jumps onto the outside line. Alex Bitto on Henry down into turn 1 on the inside line. He gets that move done, but Henry isn't finished with him. Henry gets behind the Toro Rosso as some very, very hard defending from the Williams down into turn 1 there. Alex Bitto was having none of it, made the move happen regardless. And now Yoda has made an overtake on Aphrodite for that final points position, and he is on an absolute charge. Make no mistake, on those 6-lap-old mediums, he's got an axe to grind here. He wants to get into those points. He is currently 2nd position in the Drivers' Championship, BTFU behind him in 3rd for those points, and he wants to make sure that he ends the season on a high with as many points as he can get. So he wants to make his way back through this grid. And Falcon is the next target on his list. His teammate Jean, also getting the better of Aphrodite, is into 11th position, less than a second behind in the other McLaren. BTFU in 14th, catching up with Lutra. And we've had a yellow flag in Sector 1.
It's the other racing point. Monkey S seemed to have a bit of an off, losing that front left end plate, as he's now under threat from Undertaker down in 15th and 16th place.
Now, turn your attention to Zamis in the Alfa Romeo, currently running in 8th position. He is less than a second behind Custom here. He is going to have DRS down into turn 1. He has a great carry of speed through into that DRS zone here on this very long straight. You can just see the carry of momentum here. Is he going to make a move? He jumps onto that outside curbing.
Brakes very, very late. Has to slow down and correct to avoid hitting that wall on the outside of the exit. They'll have another shot. They made their way down towards turn 3.
Oh, and excuse me, as we've had an overtake, it looks like Bois getting out in front of the Haas Skybits, and there's a retirement. That's Lutra. Where is Lutra? As he has appeared to have retired the car in the pit lane here. So 15 drivers remaining. I feel like Mikau is dealing with some connection issues. Hopefully we can get him back in just a few moments. But Skybit's into 4th position here. Gaps starting to form here on lap 19. We have 8 laps remaining in this race. counting the present lap, of course. Zamis is gaining on Custom still. As we saw, he had a great carry down through into turn 1, just couldn't make that move round the outside. He was very late on the brakes. Like Mikhail said, had to correct. Coming down into T15. Jean doing a very good job of sticking with his teammate on the one lap fresher tire in that battle for the final points position. Of course, we'll have to see if team orders play a role, as Yoda is much farther up on the championship roster. But you can see now Zamis coming through sector 3 here on the rear of this Mercedes. Custom has no chance. He cannot defend against this. There's just so much speed coming out of that Ferrari-powered Alfa Romeo now. And with that DRS, Custom's just going to have to take his time and work a fix and come back even stronger, perhaps down into turn 3, as he will have DRS coming out of turn 2. Zamajo, currently your race leader here, and it looks like Custom, not the greatest exit out of turn 2 here, as that DRS isn't helping him gain too much speed behind the rear of that Alpha. Shenje in second, Bois, 18.7 seconds behind our front runners, but he is, of course, in those podium positions on 7-lap old mediums. Alex now in 5th position, looking to maximize an opportunity here to get into 4th position. We saw Alex leading this race earlier. Hopefully he's able to make something happen with the Haas driver Skybits ahead of him, as gaps are starting to shrink now, as our green running race has begun to come through and hit its peak. Alex Bido down through turn 16. Getting the overtake out of turn 16 on Skybits. What a move. Up the inside he goes. He didn't even need the DRS to make that one move. He must have had an unbelievable exit. And of course, Skybits on older tires and the slower tire to boot. But he is going to have the DRS on that Toro Rosso, which quite well have been a planned maneuver from the Haas driver. Very familiar with this circuit, I know, is Skybits. So very nice move here. We'll see what Alex Bido is able to do with it, with DRS coming down into turn 3. Meanwhile, Jean sticking with Yoda, and the gap is quite small, and there has been an overtake down into turn 3. That's Alex Bido out in front of Skybits, and the Haas and Toro Rosso having a fantastic show of driving here in the battle for 4th position. Meanwhile, Jean sticking with Yoda quite well in the McLaren. I do believe both drivers have fully intact front wings, and that is Aphrodite behind them in the Williams on the 9-lap old mediums. Falcon catching up with Custom. Custom defending against the Renault here in Sector 2. We're coming down into turn 15. Falcon looks to the inside. He gets back behind the Mercedes. Good call and good patience from him there. We'll have to see what happens here. I do believe Falcon will get him down that main straight with the DRS, but Custom has a fantastic exit out of 16 down into this Sector 3 straight section. You can see now DRS coming online for the Renault. We'll take a look and see what kind of speed he's able to pull out of the Renault. Henry and Zamis about to do battle. As my controls seem to be screwing me over a little bit here, you can see Henry now into 5th position on the 9-lap old mediums, with Zamis very close behind Skybits. What's he going to do here? It's a 3-car battle for 5th at the moment. Henry is leading it. That's Zamis up the inside. A little bit of a tap there from Skybits. Some good hard racing there from those two. Falcon is still behind Custom, not able to make anything happen into turn 3. Things are getting quite intense here with 5 laps remaining. With Jean still sticking with Yoda. Yoda 2.9 seconds behind Falcon at the moment. Skybit's taking a 3-second time penalty in the Haas behind the Williams of Henry. And you can see Henry is extremely thankful that Skybits is doing a great job of holding up that Alfa Romeo Zamis. Zamis now dropped back almost 2 seconds behind Henry as a result of Skybits being in his way. And that is huge for Henry, being on the 9-lap-old mediums versus Zamis's 5-lap-old tires. We'll see if Zamis is able to make the move up the inside into 16. Is he going to make it stick? They're wheel-to-wheel. Coming out of the exit, who has the better release? That's Zamis out in front of Skybits. Fantastic here. But Skybits on those hard tires, which I do believe he will be taking to the end, is going to have the DRS. You can see there, he's already in the beautiful slipstream behind that Alfa Romeo. They're wheel-to-wheel now coming down the long straight. That's Zamis losing out back into 7th position. But Zamis on the inside, is he able to make something? Oh, there's a little bit of oversteer from the Haas. A little bit of contact with the Alpha. The Alpha doing a very good heads-up job and a beautiful move up the inside of turn 2 from Zamis to get Skybits back on the switchback. And Custom is starting to catch things here, as well as Falcon. And Yoda has taken 4/10 out of Falcon inside of the last lap. So things are heating up for these points positions here in the midfield. Zamajo off to a fantastic lead here. 7.1 seconds ahead of Shenjie in that Ferrari. Shenjie, 18 seconds behind, or excuse me, ahead of Bois in 3rd position. Custom catching up with Skybits. Skybits definitely starting to feel a lack of speed in those hard compound tires. As I do believe Mikau may be back. I'm not 100% sure. Mikau?
Yep, I'm here, Stripium.
Fantastic, my friend. Glad to have you back. Unfortunately, I imagine either a connection issue may have hit you, I assume?
Yep. Again. Around the same time as last week, but nevertheless, I am back for these final 2 laps of the race.
Perfect timing as things are starting to heat up now. You can see Falcon currently running in 9th behind that Mercedes. He is going to have the DRS coming through this long straight. Custom, the DRS as well, though, on Skybits. Skybits is going to have to defend here. I do believe Custom looking inside. He gets on the brakes quite late. Ooh, and Skybits just gets the move done. You can see Custom is under serious threat from Falcon now. That move and that dedicated dive may have cost him. Ooh, bit of a brush with the wall there for the Mercedes. A little bit of contact on the inside from the Renault. That's Falcon into 8th position, but Custom has the DRS over the Renault. He's back into 8th now. Ooh, but a late lunge there from Falcon. There's contact. He is spun out. Skybits with a tap into the rear. That's Custom out in front now into 7th position, and Skybits has lost out into 9th position. That's Yoda, who has finally caught up to this battle. He has been absolutely flying throughout these last few laps here. He gets a move done on Skybits. What absolute fantastic racing. Now John is in the mix into the points, and there's a little bit of contact there. It looks like Jean may have tapped his teammate Yoda there through into Castle section. Jean into 10th, Yoda into 9th now, 2 seconds behind Falcon. Falcon looking to catch up with Custom once again. Custom 4.2 seconds away from 6th, and now Zamis has his turn. He has finally caught back up to Henry after Skybits held him up, and he is less than half a second away from capturing 5th position here on the penultimate lap of this race. Or excuse me, the second last lap of this race, as Zamajo is already so far out in front. He is into sector 2 almost already in that Ferrari, and there is Zamis now along the inside of Henry down that long straight, and we have a retirement.
Steve-O crashing out at turn 15. Being a lap down. Still very unfortunate to see that we've lost yet another driver from this race. So
ooh, and look at the placement of that racing point there on Undertaker's onboard there. It is dead set in the middle of that kink in sector 2, coming through those straight sections. Very dangerous place.
The marshals have cleared up that car as Amajo heads through that section of circuit now. So it will be green flag running these last few laps. This battle for 8th place is really heating up right now.
Last time we checked in with Falcon and Yoda, I do believe the gap was around 2 seconds, if I'm not mistaken. As we can see, Yoda and Jean have made short work of that in the McLaren cars, as they are now tag teaming their way up into these further points positions. Hopefully, they're able to make something happen here on the penultimate lap behind the rear of this Renault. Skybits in 12th position on those 16-lap old hards. Say it ain't so, Mikau. He lost a massive amount of positions here throughout the last phase of this race on those quite old hards. But, of course, Zamajo, speaking of hard tires, has just crossed the line into lap 26 now, the final lap of this race. Yoda with the DRS on Falcon. Let's see what kind of momentum he can build up through down into turn 1. It may not be enough to make a move. He moves to the outside.
Sorry. Rick Henry goes really wide. He's missing his entire front wing. So Custom is now up into 6th place as Henry struggles to complete that final lap.
Oh, you hate to see it.
Front wing.
This is going to be extremely difficult for the Williams driver, Henry, who we did see leading this race earlier in this campaign. Henry goes off into the runoff area. He just can't get that car turned around. There's no arrow on the front end. He goes into the runoff area. We're on the final lap of this race. That's Yoda and John into 8-9. BTFU makes his way into the final points position for the Toro Rosso squad now. And Henry has most definitely retired the car in that runoff area as a result of that damage. Very unfortunate for him. You hate to see it, Mick, but, you know, he had a fantastic race, just couldn't keep things together on that front wing. He went wide there, down through into T1.
Line to become the Misfits Racing League Season 2 World Drivers Champion with a well-deserved win around the streets of Baku, keeping his wing intact for the majority of that race. Chenje will come across the line in second, doing a 360 or a 720 around the start-finish line. But the fights aren't over yet. Going to look at this battle for 6th place. Both Falcon, Yoda, and maybe Jean as well will be within that DRS.
Bois taking that 3rd podium position, of course. Alex Bitto crosses 4th, Zamis in 5th. You can see the DRS now from Yoda on Falcon. Is it going to be enough? I don't know. As Zamajo with the race win here, we're just waiting on BT to cross the line now for the top 10 drivers. BT in 10th. Our penalty is going to play any kind of role for these last few drivers. Skybits in 11th, Astrolite in 12th, and Undertaker in 13th is how it should shape up here at the end of round 14 for MRL Season 2. Zamajo is your race winner in the Ferrari, and like Mikau said, it is a congratulations to him, not only on the race win here in Baku for round 14, but he has effectively clinched the Season 2 Tier 1 driver's title for the Misfits Racing League. Congratulations to the Croatian Ferrari driver, Chenje. Good job from him on that 2nd position, and of course, Bois finishing in, or excuse me, was it Bois or Alex Bitto in 3rd? I think it might have been, now I'm confused. It's Bois in 3rd there. And there we have it, folks. There is the grid and how things unfolded. You can see Zamajo here started on pole position, finished the race where he began in 1st. Chenje takes home 2nd. Bois in 3rd. Alex Bitto not quite able to capitalize on that front row start in 2nd position. He's dropped back into 4th. Zamis into 5th. Custom 6th. Falcon 7th, Yoda in 8th, Jean in 9th, and BTFU rounding off the top 10. Skybits in 11th, Astrolite in 12th, Undertaker in 13th, Henry in 14th, Monkey S in 15th, Luke Tress 16th, 17th for Little Bear, 18th for Fubar. Reggie Jr. not able to put the car over the line to finish this one, is in 19th, as well as Jasko behind him. Quite the multitude of DNFs here in this one. But of course, nothing compares to what we saw earlier this season in Spa. And I have to say, Mikau, I am quite impressed with how this Tier 1 race went for these drivers.
Yeah, Baku definitely not the easiest of circuits to navigate. That'll wrap things up for round 14. So Marjo, now your world drivers champion, but the constructors fight is still alive, I do believe.
Well, that is going to wrap up whew, a very, very eventful Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Congratulations to all of the points finishers and, of course, the podium finishers. And even on top of that, once again, to Zamajo on the race win for Ferrari and that Drivers' Championship win and clinching position. Of course, we still have 3 more rounds of Misfits Racing League to decide how the Constructors' Championship will be determined, and the remaining slots for these drivers, the remaining Tier 1 drivers who have yet to finalize their positions in the standings. Of course, my name is Striffium. Joining me, as always, Mikal on the broadcast. If you guys enjoyed, I highly encourage you to smash that follow button, as we are live here every Thursday for awesome wheel-to-wheel racing action. Of course, if you missed this race or you're looking for some highlights, I highly suggest you guys check out our YouTube channel and smash that subscribe button over there. We have tons, and I mean tons, of video content going up on that channel regularly, and I'm sure most of you will enjoy it. Of course, my name is Striffium. Be sure to check us out on Twitter for the Misfits Racing League. And last but not least, Mikal, we're always looking for drivers in the Misfits Racing League. Be sure to smash that Discord link in the chat, of course, or in the panels down below. Always looking for new drivers, new clean racers, and always looking for part-time casual reserves as well. So, that wraps up Baku. Anything else, Mikal, or any last words to our viewers?
Nothing much more to add. Just join us for round 15 down under next week for the Aussie Grand Prix.
That's right. Next week, Albert Park, round 15, the Australian Grand Prix. Thank you, everyone, so much for watching, and we hope to see you next week or even sooner in the Discord. Always looking for great racers, even for 5-lapper lobbies. But that is going to wrap it up for us. Everybody have a fantastic evening. Thank you so much for joining us here on stream, and we will see you guys next time. Thanks for watching, guys. We hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure you smash that like button to let us know, and of course, subscribe to the channel if you're interested in more great racing content. We are live on Twitch every week on twitch.tv Misfits Racing League. Hit us up in the description below for our Discord and Twitter links as well. Always looking to get connected on those, and if you're interested in joining the MRL, Discord is the place to be. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on our next video.